Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001 Windmills of the Mind, a collection of quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand it, was referred to by some as philosophical medicine or narrative medicine, helping one to be their own story doctor, helping one to use narrative medicine to heal themselves. So this is what psychoanalysis or the so-called psychoanalytic orientation or perspective or outlook is all about. To look for inferences of how something in the past, how something from the past, some memory from the past expresses itself interpersonally in the present. So inside out. And then how did the inside get in there? Well, as above, so below. So a lot of babies are experiencing what's called attachment trauma, interpersonal trauma, relational trauma. This leads to what's generally called an insecure attachment style. So yes, the child does somehow attach to the mother, but at a huge cost. He'll freeze up inside, he'll reject his emotional development, he'll spend the rest of his life being dysfunctional in the ongoing, endless, timeless effort to save the mother, cure the mother, heal the mother. Okay, the source point for there is that the baby thinks that maybe if he can fix his mother, then maybe he'll get the love that he needs so that he can know himself. So he's sort of stuck in that area. In TQ 2712, there's a quote from Althea Horner, which says something to the effect that the interpersonal leads to the intrapsychic, which then expresses itself interpersonally. Okay. So there's the as beloved, so below, inside out. And if the intrapsychic is, if the memory system is such that the template, the neural pathways, the schema, the script is laid down based on a problematic interaction, and then this problematic traumatic script expresses itself interpersonally, it makes us dysfunctional because that traumatic script came about due to the faulty relationship with the mother. And then to express that interpersonally means you're going to see the present interpersonal situations through that lens, thinking you're still in the past emotionally, hoping for mother to change her ways, provide the love that's needed. But nobody in the present can be the good mother for the past, so it never makes sense. Object relations theory is the study of this. Object relations theory, and developmental theory, developmental object relations theory. That's sort of the core underpinning, sort of the engine of 1001 Windmills of the Mind, as inspired by James F. Masterson, one of our mentors. He synthesizes developmental theory mainly by Margaret Mahler and others, and object relations theory mainly by Melanie Klein, William Fairbairn and others, and he provides his own contributions to it. Sometimes he jokes and calls it the Masterson approach. But fair enough, he's really the guy that kind of brought it together more clearly. He writes clearly, friendly. So thanks to that, it's available to anybody, the way he writes clearly. So a good starting point for Masterson's is Masterson's book, The Search for the Real Self. The Search for the Real Self. The real self is a natural discovery when the baby's loved up till the age of 3. Then he recognizes his uniqueness, what he likes, his interests, that's unique to him, and that awareness of that, which he expresses through the awareness. There's pleasure, there's joy, there's love of life. That's meaning, that's feeling alive. That's what it's all about, right? To express your uniqueness. But you got to be aware of your uniqueness. That awareness of your uniqueness establishes, through the jargon, is a conscious ego. But in trauma, in relational trauma, developmental trauma, etc., that ego gets frazzled up. It gets submerged and frazzled up. The image is the scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. Okay? With trauma, the child freezes up, loses his emotions. The image there is the Tin Man. Lost, where's his feelings, where's his heart and all this, right? the two being like that means the person feels disconnected from themselves. That's the cowardly lion off in another corner. Okay? So Dorothy is like the part of the psyche that's trying to line things up, heal things up. Okay? So first we got to recognize and make a link. Why the Tin Man is like that? We need the Scarecrow to know this. But the Scarecrow is too fragile. He doesn't have enough strength to admit this. He needs to firm up. So the image for that is in the children's story, where the wolf blows down the houses made out of straw and sticks or wood. But finally the house made out of brick was fine, was good. So we got to strengthen the ego. Then there's the recognition of our feelings, and then what caused the trauma disappears. So the wolf disappears, right? Or when Dorothy throws water on the Wicked Witch, that image is not real. It's just something the child makes up. It's a composite of the bad mother experience and his feelings that infuses into it and creates some kind of imago of it. But when he recognizes the feelings, meaning the person has the water, feelings, unconscious, water, symbol for feelings, motion, emotion, water moves, flows. When we have that kind of flow with our feelings to the recognition of the trauma, and we accept that we need a strong ego, that's the brick, then the wolf poofs away, or the Wicked Witch poofs away, melts away, disappears, that kind of thing. Because that's never real. No mother's a devouring wolf that wants to eat the baby. No mother's a Wicked Witch that wants to cook the baby. These kinds of things. In the Cyclops eats the people. This is nonsense. But not from the child's perspective. The child's got to cope. He's got to figure out a way to deal and adapt to a difficult situation, meaning the mother's misattuned, malattuned, doesn't get the baby signals, doesn't understand the baby's needs. The baby cries, what do you want, baby? Okay, so first it's a double insult. Baby has needs, mother doesn't get it. Then he cries, the feelings come about. Right? So needs and feelings are linked. In general, when the needs are met, we feel pleasant. When the needs are unmet, okay, we feel fear and anger and all this, right? So the baby's expressing his fear and anger and all this. The mother says, oh, what are you complaining about? Get over it. Well, double insult. So this whole area of knowing his needs and expressing his feelings in response, that kind of gets squelched, repressed, the wiring, the memories laid down that causes him to create a deep belief that to know your needs or to say your feelings leads to so much pain. To avoid that pain, don't have needs, feelings, don't know your needs and feelings. So it gets repressed, recorded. So the recording tells the child basic, simple, classical conditionings. Don't know what you need, don't express your feelings, and then you won't get that pain. The byproduct of this is that the emotionality, okay, the feelings come from the body, the emotionality gets frozen, petrified. Echo turns to stone in the Narcissus myth. Feeling unreal, the Velveteen Rabbit story. Okay, the carpenter who took out that block of wood and then carved out this little boy and then was praying for the boy to come to life. Okay, it's a symbol that he wants to feel more alive and real. Okay, so often this is referred to as living the unlived life, the provisional life. When does life begin? Life, something's missing. I feel like I'm sleepwalking through life. I feel like the life is passing me by. I feel like I'm just going through the motions of life. What is all this? So they're like the zombie, the numbs, endorphins. There's a pain so utter, Emily Dickinson says. This pain swallows the child's soul up, needs and feelings. Then he goes in a swoon. There's the swoon, like that trance, like that, just like that, walking around like in a trance. That's the endorphins. That's the mercy numbing to not feel the pain. The person says, I don't know what you're talking about, I feel nothing. Well, that's the point of endorphins. Alan Semrad says, well, number one, you're never not feeling anything. And if you think you're feeling nothing, that's when you're hurting the most. You're hurting so much. You get the endorphins, and then you become dependent on it, because that's the only thing that you experience to help you deal with that pain. And then when there's trauma, we recreate and relive and repeat, and you might be stuck in that swoon kind of thing. So there's the trauma. And then Zaz's song says, we want to love life and enjoy life, but if we're not enjoying the present, we don't have our feelings, our differentiation, our identity, our psychological self, our ontological self. I feel, therefore I am the self. The feeling embodied, and then you make sense because you have your connection to yourself. You're enjoying the present. Reality's there. You know your interests. You're loving life. If you don't have that basic developmental byproduct of having been loved for the first 3 years, okay, then you're stuck in the past, dwelling in the past, lingering in the past, because you couldn't know it, you couldn't perceive it, you couldn't understand it. It's overwhelming, and all of the life force is bound. Your life force, your energy, your life force is attached into those memories in your brain. And your life force is there in the past. So you're emotionally living in the past. So now this so-called famous split takes place. Your emotionality is arrested. The developmental arrest of the emotions, stunted development. Okay, fixation there. Fixation stuck in the emotional realm way early on. And then other parts of the person could develop. So yes, they can still get 10 PhDs, they can still get 10 medals in the sports arena, but it's all numb. It's all like, what's it for, like kind of thing. You see. So then they say usually at some point around midlife, there's an onset of recognition of this called the delayed onset. Delayed onset of the recognition of this numbing. Because when we're frozen up, we develop a personality, and it kind of keeps it repressed, keeps us unaware because we're manically avoiding it, not aware of it. So the so-called personality absorbs the pain, they say, and then we go on like this. At some point, the sponge of the personality wears out, usually at around midlife. Or another way of saying it is at midlife, we feel a little safer with ourselves. We have more experience, time has passed by. Now we're maybe a little more interested in the truth of our feelings. Where's our feelings? Something, how it clicks in, I'm not sure. But generally speaking, the pattern is at around midlife, between 35 and 45, 50, or 40 to 50, or maybe 60, or 30 to 60. Well, there's no specific number, but just ballpark, people generally say at 40, let's say. Robert Bly said for him it was 35. Masterson had a client in one of his books. The guy had it at 80 something, so it's not specifically about a number. And a lot of young people say, oh, I feel it already. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my late 20s, I feel it already. So there's not specifically about a number, but just ballpark approximation. It's the midlife, it seems to, around midlife, it's called the midlife audit period, the midlife examination period. Whether or not there's some kind of precipitating crisis called the midlife crisis that brings it up. But usually there's like an inkling of it. Okay, that's called the delayed onset, the delayed recognition of this pain. It comes to us because in midlife we feel safe, feelings come up. In general, when you feel safe, your denied feelings come up to you. Now you go on the who am I quest. Like, who am I really in terms of feelings? I feel, therefore I am. So that when they say who am I, that means I feel, therefore I am. You got to get your feelings. That's your psychological embodied health. Then you have your feelings from the embodiment, your sense of self, feelings, comfort. So joy runs the console. Okay, when joy runs the console, you're loving life in the present, and you're aware of your real self capacities. So then your interest, your mutuality, making I statements, sharing your vulnerability, intimacy, warm trust, affection, creativity, spontaneity, play, being an elder late in life. It's generative, it's warm, it's generative. The reality is we're all one family, so you get that reality. And in the normal development, you're not bogged down, distorting the present to transfer the emotional unfinished business with the traumatic mother experience into the present, thinking somebody in the present can be the good mother for the past to change the past. So you're not doing this kind of thing. You're enjoying the present. That's a loving life side of it that Zaz's song was singing. So if the child's frozen up before the age of 3 and he's stuck somewhere prior to that, okay, so far we're using just ballpark 3 phases because there does seem to be 3 general personality patterns seem to be subdivided into 3 broad categories. It's not perfect in all this, but so if the fixation takes place between birth and 4 to 5 months, you got a bunch of personality patterns, the most troubled ones. Between 4 to 5 months to 18 months, mostly the narcissistic and the variation of the narcissistic patterns. The cookie cutter one, the star one that we're familiar with, and then the closeted one, the turtle one, the clinging vine one, and a few other sort of narcissistic types in there, right? But 18 months is a developmental milestone where the grandiosity, the egocentricity, infantile megalomania mainly dissipates. And then 18 months to 36 months, if the child can get past that phase, but it's frozen post that, but before 36 months, he's going to be in the childlike clinger, pleaser, caretaker, still childlike, still like a puppy, still hopeful in all this. So those are the clingers. Prior to 18 months, the two of them there, they're called the stinger personality patterns, and I'll explain why in a minute. You know, the problem with this, they got, you don't see, but I'm baking here. I'm in a sauna when there's no formal, you gotta like formally book this room, then they'll turn the AC on for you. So I'm sort of in a gray zone where the door is unlocked. I'm a guest here, but I think you gotta, I don't know the full details, but there's no AC. I've looked all around. Where's the AC? Come on, where's the AC? So I'm baking already here. And my other spot's taken. The only other, I haven't checked the 6th floor yet, so let's take a quick peek on the 6th floor, see if we're a little bit lucky there. It's usually awkward up there to do it up there, but I gotta cool off. Takes me, yeah, sorry about it. It takes me a while to get here. By the time I get here, I'm baking. And something happened to me, this global heating thing. I personally feel it. If usually doesn't take me so long to cool down. Now my sort of internal cooling system is kind of broken or something. It takes me much longer to cool down. So I don't want to wait 2 hours to cool down because it'll get dark and all this lighting issues. And it's worth coming here. I want to get to a nice place. I got a nice place here. What is it, 4 o'clock? Okay, so we got to. But another issue, I'm still having tech issues with my phone, uploading, unprocessed, failed, try again, sorry, retry, failed, processing, abandoned. I got all these messages. I got a huge backlog of videos that I can't upload. So I only have this little sliver of 2 hours of storage space. Even that 2-hour video takes like a whole, like a day and a bit to get it uploaded. So, so I'm gonna do. So by the way, yeah, we'll be doing 2713 here. 2713. By the way, yeah, I just noticed this. First time I printed it out, went to a print. So this is sort of a typical setup here. In each video, you're gonna get roughly this much worth of material. It's about 10 minutes worth of reading. And that's Robert Bly's advice, to read psychology every day for 10 minutes. So we'll get to this. This will be TQ 2713. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quotes. Yeah, so on average, so today there's 9, right? So on average, we have 9 quotes per video, 900 plus videos. And if you take Robert Bly's advice to read 10 minutes a day, I'm confident one of the quotes out of 10 might click. You might feel a little like an emotional freedom there, a little hope and inspiration. Now I get it, what a relief. You might get something like that, 1 out of 10. Do that for each video. And in effect, one can develop their own 1001 Windmills of the mind themselves. Okay, so Robert Bly says, read psychology every day for 10 minutes. So that's what we're doing here, as best as we can. And then forgive psychology for its jargon. Oh, just forgive it, people. That's what he said in the audience. Oh, come on, people in the audience. Forgive psychology for its jargon. Just forgive it, please. Come on, please forgive it. He was pleading and pleading, please forgive. Don't get bogged down in all this. You got to have like a broader kind of tolerant recognition. It's hard to describe, to put words to. How do we describe this template, this traumatic script? How do we describe this traumatic script? So that's what object relations theory is. It's about this. So we have a model called internal objects theory. Okay. So relational units, memories of the self in relation to their memories with the mother. And there's like a relational unit, self and other, and there's an emotion there. That's one unit. Another relational unit, another relational unit. And in trauma, things are fragmented like this. Now, is the fusion still there? See? So in the beginning, the mother and the baby are fused. Is that still there in the psychic structure? That's a huge issue, And you got split fusion units. Oh boy, that's just trauma. And I think it's very unhelpful. These people that go around talking about subpersonality, self-states, they're promoting trauma. We want to have an integrated whole and an integrated other. Okay, so this whole object rating. Stop peddling this. It's got to be fragmented, subpersonal. Forget that. No, we're a self, a whole self. The other's a whole person, 3-dimensionality. The other's 3-dimensionality. Don't do this multiple multiple self states, multiple personalities. That's promoting or taking you away from the issue that that the goal is the opposite. The goal is to bring parts of the self together to have a whole self. We don't want to live with different part selves. We want a whole self that holds a variety of feelings. Now that's okay. If you want to say it that way, that when a person has a sense of self, they've got a variety of feelings. But don't say that when you have that feeling, you're a separate personality or something. You're a person with the feeling. All right? Don't get carried away and say, well, if you feel this, well, that's like a separate person. No, it's still you who feels that. Let's jump to the last quote here. Yeah, from Aletha Horner. So here, this solves the issue. Here, right here. Let's jump to this one here. Okay, I don't know if you can see here. If you click the more link, you'll see it there. The last one here. Let's jump here. The experiencing self is not the same as what one experiences. Okay? The experiencing self, that's you, right? You're the one who experiences. Okay? You're feeling. The feeling self. You, the experiencing self. The feeling self, okay, is not the same as what one experiences. Okay? But the sense of the self who is having the experience. Let's do it this way. The feeling self is not the same as what one feels, but the sense of self who is having the feeling. The capacity to focus upon the feeling self or the experiencing self is vital to the process of trying to discover and connect with you, yourself. Be embodied, then you make sense. For example, when somebody tells me, I only feel confused, I may ask him or her to focus on the self who is having the experience of being confused, rather than on the confusion itself. People often become so focused on the experience that they lose touch with the experiencer. That is the self. That might be what a lot of meditators include in their meditation philosophies. Who's having the experience? I feel such and such. Who's having it? What do you mean who's having it? I'm having it. Oh good, stay there. I'm having it. Focus on the sense of self, the experiencing self, the feeling self having it. If you're focused on the feeling and you're disconnected from yourself, then the feeling has you. You have the feeling. You don't want the feeling to have you. You have the feeling. Then the feeling waves through a famous wave metaphor Tina Gilbertson likes to talk about. But at least promote the sense of self that's having the feeling. And a sense of self can have a variety of feelings. Don't say that when you're having this feeling A, feeling B, feeling, then you're a separate person. That's a subpersonality. That's the confusion. So I think these guys who are doing this, they got a dark kind of a. I think it's part of the controlled opposition to maintain. So there's a real. See, part of the plunder and pillage system we talked about is to try to discourage healing. Because if people are healed, then we don't pillage and plunder. So to prevent healing, there are a variety of psychology models to block healing. Red herrings distract you, create some kind of charismatic figure and create some jargon and distract you, and just get caught up in being associated with the charismatic speaker or something, or the fantasy that they're peddling. So let's not go down there in this video here. In the last video, TQ 2712, that was done in multiple parts. The past, I think, 3 parts there, I tried to enter into a thing called the 45 symptoms of homo traumicus. And it's a huge topic. So I got to take a break from it for the time being. We covered a fair bit of ground. And so I'm now, with this video, kind of going back to sort of the basic theory here. So Aletha Horner is a great teacher of object relations theory. And so she has so we'll do some terms, definitions and things. Forgive psychology for its jargon. So you'll hear a little bit of jargon, but I'll try to make it clear in all this. Masterson makes it clear. Althea Horner makes it clear. Rinsley to a degree. And you know who makes it very clear? Dorothea, a woman named Dorothea, is MacArthur, something like that. MacArthur, something. I forgot it. I think it's. Anyways, if you look up Dorothea, try MacArthur, something like that. Object relations theory, psychologist, trained professor, whatever. Something like Dorothea. She's got a book. I forgot what it's called, about object relations theory. She's very clear in there. We have some of her quotes in there, but Guntrip is popular. A lot of people like this guy Harry Guntrip about the schizoid, the emotional detachment. So Karen Horney, one of our mentors, says, yeah. Oh, by the way, Karen Horney's book, Our Inner Conflicts, has won a Golden Windmills of the Mind Award. She talks a lot about when trauma, we may still be trying to move towards people. That's the clingers and the pleasers. Okay, so that's like childlike, so we're kind of always have this pleasing, caretaking quality. That's the clinger place when trauma's before 36 months, but after 18 months, sort of that mid-range there, still with the hope like that, like a childlike hope. So the pleasers, the caretakers. So she talks a lot about that. It's moving towards people, she says. Now, in the detached place, before 18 months, you got trauma between 18 months back to 4 to 5 months. Well, all of them are going to be avoidant, right? All of them are going to be avoidant. But if the trauma, so that's the moving away from people, emotionally moving away. Masterson calls it the secret schizoid. So you move like, emotionally detached. Like, But if the trauma is before 4 to 5 months, then you got against people. So she says we either move towards people, away from people, or against people. See, that's trauma before 4 to 5 months, the bully pattern, those types. So she discusses all this in her self-help book entitled Our Inner Conflicts. And if I remember correctly, chapter 5 is very good about externalization. Yeah, she's one of our mentors, clear, articulate writer. So Karen Horney, James F. Masterson, Edmund Bergler, Melanie Klein, William Fairbairn, Margaret Mahler. They're sort of the main mentors here. And Robert Bly, sort of a guest mentor as well. Okay, I'm baking here. Yeah, you're going to see me perspiring. Now let me do an air conditioning run here, an AC run here. I'll see if I can come back a little bit later. That's too bad, eh? Okay, hold on a second. Let's turn these off, I guess. Unless I get lucky over here. Let's see. It's nice and cool over here. Nice little hotel, but very busy. Every 2 steps there's staff and guests and things. Lots of let's see, are they still there? Someone took my spot, huh? Still there. Yeah. So it looks like my spot's taken for today, but let me just sit here, get cool off a bit. That's too bad. These little bouncing around sort of cause little delays here. I'm still looking for a nice little venue with a view where I can speak smoothly, continuously, without these interruptions. I'm in a busy tourist city and all this. But we've done some excellent videos despite my awkward deliveries. Oh, my disclaimer, once again, I'm not a shrink, I'm not a professor, I'm not a midwife, I'm not a doula, I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm just I only have a BA, so keep that in mind. Back to Robert Bly, when he speaks to the audience, he's not a shrink either, right? Robert Bly said to the audience, "Dear audience, thanks for coming out here tonight in this auditorium in the cold and the snow. Nice to see you all, welcome, glad you can make it. 30% of what you're going to hear tonight is wrong. It's up to you to figure out which 30%. I can't quite imitate it. So he's emphasizing everybody's got to raise their own consciousness. So don't wait for someone to say abracadabra and you're suddenly healed. Don't look for some magical thing like this. you know, what the shrinks do, all they do is observe your pattern. You have a complaint. When did it begin? And see an example of it. That's all they do. Okay? We use defense mechanisms to get us away from the anxiety and underlying pain we would feel if we were to admit something. So we use defense mechanisms. So point those defense mechanisms out. Okay? So defense before content. Just notice the defense mechanism. I noticed you changed the topic. I noticed you said this, now you said this. You know, like you just noticed the defense mechanism. I noticed you talked about this and then you went binge eating. And just notice the defense mechanisms, and then maybe the person will voluntarily get access to their feelings, kind of thing. And that's sort of the idea, to be aware that we're using defense mechanisms and why we're using defense mechanisms, when did it begin, and to make that kind of link like that. Maybe a better way of saying it is, we're looking for therapeutic turning points. When we're repeating in the present something in the past with the fantasy that we can change the past, and we're aware of that, and we're living in the past, seeing the present as another replay of the past, transferring the emotional past in the present just becomes like a fantasy theater for the past, using people as actors and all this. And we do this again and again and again with the fantasy we can change the past. When we realize this, and we're aware of this, catch ourselves, that's a therapeutic turning point. Now we're making new decisions and so on, right? Oh, they're settled. Yeah, they're settled in there. They're gonna sit there the whole time. What? Lucky's fine. I hope they're not regulars. Gonna have to look for another venue. Not too many hotels. Actually, this is the only hotel in this sort of along this stretch here. What a second. Okay, that's okay. Let me cool off. I'll go back to that nice room over there. Let's call it the blue room. Okay, so how's the lighting? Yeah, let's back up a second. We're talking about how do we heal from living in the past, not enjoying the present, still living in the past. How do we heal this? How do we love life in the present? How do we get back our golden ball and enjoy life in the present? Golden ball, radiant, alive, vibrant. It connects to our body, it comes from the body. I feel therefore I am. Then we're all good. Then we make sense. Then we feel embodied. If we don't feel embodied, we're in pain, numbed over. Then we're in this frantic, kind of confused, grasping, constant craving, grasping cry for where's my golden ball kind of thing. And without consciousness, we're just grasping, we're blinded like this kind of thing. So we gotta observe this kind of thing, right? So let's discuss this emotional trauma a little more. Okay, so we mentioned earlier that if the baby's needs don't get met, and then his feelings, insult to injuries, the mother doesn't understand the baby's signals of his feeling expression, then he freezes up inside and is afraid to know his needs, afraid to even register his feelings to himself because the mother punished him for it, kind of thing. Now he's in this pain. It can go into the body, it can lead to psychosomatic symptoms, it can make the person dysfunctional, it can lead the person to having kind of so-called personality pattern that's kind of like a negative-based one, searching for grandiosity all the time, as a regression. The regression. Okay, so trauma, there's a regression. The regression is the baby in the uterus has grandiosity, meaning he's floating around in the oceanic feeling, in the sack, in the water. He's relaxed. He's got his golden ball, so he's alive, he's happy. When we have our golden ball and joy is shining our body, we're pretty happy there, right? Well, this guy's looking for the same thing I was looking for, a nice little spot. Huh? I see. It's a popular This is a little enclosed area just beside me. It's a nice little spot. Okay, and he was disappointed too. He wanted to use that spot when there's two people in there, so he walked out with a grumpy look on his face. I'm just thrilled the odd moments I can get a nice spot. Oh boy, I'm losing time here. Okay. Yeah, right. The baby it needs, mother didn't get it, misattuned, malattuned, the bottle can do it, the schedule can do it. Okay. The baby needs attunement, reverie, mother's presence. Children need your presence, not your presence. So he has these needs for presence, attunement, a positive relational experience with the mother, a positive maternal experience, maternal holding environment, safety, and the relationship. Because the baby's laying down neural pathways called intrapsychic structure, neural pathways, based, modeled on by the interpersonal relationship, as above, so below, and then inside out. So the interpersonal has got to be normal for the baby. What's normal is the mother understands and accepts the child's identity, and the child can accept himself. The way the mother treats him, the wiring is set, he picks up on that and treats himself like that. If the mother sees, hears, feels the child by the age of 3 has that set in there, he kind of can sense himself kind of thing, and recognize himself and validate himself. The mother validates him. When the mother, important one is the soothing. When the mother soothes the child when he's a little distressed, he has those wirings in there. So when he's like a little distressed, he has the wiring clicks in. He can regulate his emotions. He can kind of soothe himself. It keeps him in a kind of a calm, embodied temperament. Not a frozen, reactive thing. Like he can still stay relaxed and embodied, right? So that's the jargon for this is the soothing interject. It's inside, it's set in, okay? Or the holding interject, or the internalized good object constancy. Different authors discuss different terms for this. So in normal development, the child has something in him that's an amalgamation of memories that loved him, and we can call it something, right? And if the child gets his needs met, first for 4 to 5 months, he needs the oneness of the mother. If that's met, then he feels safe to leave her. That's key, right? That's huge. A lot of babies don't feel safe with the mother in the first 4 to 5 months, and then they never leave her in the memory, in the mind. We're not talking physically. I'm not talking about if you travel somewhere. We're talking about what's set down in the mind. That's the mother complex. If the mother complexes, or the electric complex, all these complexes, Laius, okay, his wife is Jocasta, and they had 2 children, Oedipus and Electra. The whole thing means none of those 4 got enough love to know themselves, and they're just replaying it around and around like this. And there's a lot of anger by this. So if the child doesn't get enough safety with the mother, he's terrified of his mother, and then to have the mother, he's got to imitate her because of his false belief that he's got to save her. So he'll imitate her in the ongoing effort to try to save her, because if he saves her, then maybe finally he'll get the love that he needs. It doesn't happen, so he's stuck trying to save her, but he's dysfunctional because he's never himself, and he's always imitating the mother. And what did the mother do? The mother hurt him. So he goes through life hurting himself, but he'll see himself onto others. So to replay that, he hurts others, thinking he's hurting himself, thinking he's being loyal to the mother, okay, and thinking he's trying to save the mother. That's very dysfunctional. To hurt others thinking you're saving the mother. Shall I compare thee to an onion? That's sort of the conclusion of the last video. If we compare thee to, if you layer it all down, dysfunction means you think you're still trying to save the mother. Morton Keeston talks a lot about this. TQs 21, 91, and 2. Highly recommend that one there. TQ 20. Sorry, what did I say? 2291 and 2. I'm pretty sure that's about a year ago we did that one. Yeah, that section of work by Morton Keysen, chapters 8 and 9 in his book called Affect, Object, and Character Structure, where he talks about this, that has won a Golden Windmills of the Mind. Those two chapters as a unit, chapters 8 and 9 from that book, that has won a Golden Windmills of the Mind award. That's a key concept there, because he really spells it out, how dysfunction means you're still being loyal to the mother, still trying to save the mother. So he spells it all out there. And I mentioned Karen Horney's book, Our Inner Conflicts, has won a Golden Windmills of the Mind award. James F. Masterson's book, The Search for the Real Self, that has also won a Golden Windmills of the Mind award. Is that the same guy? No, that's a different one. All right. So I try not to get anybody in the camera, but once in a while, it kind of happens smacks behind me. Sorry about that. Well, that is the same guy. He's kind of moping around a bit. He looks like a good candidate for the midlife audit. See, melancholia or sadness like this. See, long ago, the idea was the so-called unprocessed loss leads to melancholia. Like we couldn't mourn it, so you end up with what's called pathological mourning or melancholia. So there's this constant kind of brooding, a little bit sad quality within, right? Now, if you can get in touch with it and express it into art, then you can become a great artist like this, because you're revealing the inner life. But a lot of people have the melancholia, but they don't have the artistic skills, right? So he's so I don't know him. I just okay, never mind. Sorry, scratch that. Do I have to cancel this video? All right. Hopefully not. Well, I've cooled off a bit. Maybe I can go back. Yeah, so okay, it's called a strain trauma. Baby has needs, mother doesn't get it. Baby has feelings by it. Mother says, you're bothering me with your feelings. I'm uncomfortable with your feelings. Okay, so he freezes up inside. So now he's numb inside, right? Emotional catatonia. One fictional shrink from a sitcom referred to somebody as having emotional catatonia. I think a better phrase is by Jeanette Paris. She calls it emotional hypothermia to describe this freezing effect. Remember Echo in The Narcissist, it turned to a statue. That phrase of somebody turning to stone, that's the emotional, the juice is all dried up and you're like hardened like that, right? Or wooden or flat. The jargon is alexithymia. So the more formal kind of jargon Peter Sipnios came up with was alexithymia. That's a very popular phrase. You see it a fair bit. It means no words for feelings. Because you don't know where your feelings are. So where are your words for? You're supposed to have words for your feelings. But if you don't know if your feelings are frozen, or they're lost down a tunnel, down a cavern where the light is never shown, Windmills of the Mind, or in the Disney film, the feelings, joy, sadness, are zooped away in this far off place. And then it's hard to know what we're feeling if they're so far away from us. It doesn't even register in the body. Well, it registers in the body in the physical symptom. So in those cases, when people have alexithymia like that, the feelings are shown in the symptoms. Sarno says, you've got back pain, that means you're angry at the mother. Can you believe it? Here's a medical doctor, famous, popular guy, wrote several books. He says if you got too much tension, I think maybe generally, if you got too much tension somewhere, that traces back to the rage of the mother. The body holds it. So you're stuck frozen like that. So the image is water converts to ice. Water converts to ice. It's the same. Ice is made out of water converts to ice. Okay, so the emotions, being rage at the mother, it's stuck in the body, hardened in the body, stone-like in the body, stuck in the body, right? So that's the analogy for the mysterious leap between mind or emotions into body. They call it like a compromise conversion or something. So the physical symptom is expressing the feeling. It's a code for the feeling. Okay? It's the manifest of the feeling. So physical symptoms reveal the feeling and it hides the feeling. They reveal and conceal. There's that compromise, and it's stuck there, and the body's bearing the burden. The body remembers. The body keeps the score. The body's holding him. And if it keeps on like that, you know, a person, it can, you know, cause problems physically for a person or something. Okay, let's go back to the nice blue room here. It's getting really busy here, anyways. Maybe should I keep this here? Yeah, I might need to do another AC run here. Let's keep my stuff here. All right. Oh, they got a. I haven't seen that one yet. The roof, yeah. All right. Actually, I'm tempted to do it there, but I got the front desk right there. Let's see. Did she? Hang on. Did she lock this? Oh, good. Okay. Let's take a quick peek. Let's see. I haven't checked the 6th floor yet. Let's see if we're lucky here. Speaking of waves, so you want your feelings to wave. Yesterday there was a big tech meeting here, and a guy came in the elevator all all excited. Man. Oh no, there's another function here. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Okay, forget that. I don't even know what it is. Oh, it's a wine. Oh, it's a wine. So is there going to be like a conference about wine here today?
Yeah. Wow. Wine training, right?
Oh, wine drinking.
Wine tasting.
Wine tasting. Oh, wow. Wine tasting. You mean it's open for everybody? Hold on a second. Oh. Chateau something. Let's see. Well, I don't see the wine. All right. I didn't register, so that's you got to register for it. Okay, let's just go back to the blue room. We'll get to today's quotes. They're good quotes by Althea Horner. Yeah, she writes clearly. The main quote here is about object relations theory. So hang in there. Yeah. All right. Good. Okay. Oh, it's baking here, but that's okay. I can hold out for a good 10 minutes here. Oh. I should find out what it formally costs to use this, then I can have AC and I can book it. Oh my God, yeah. No, it's too expensive. I've tried that before. These rooms are ridiculously expensive. Like formally, and you book it and all this, right? Okay, let me just draw on. Let me just refer you to past videos where we kind of spent a fair bit of time discussing the needs that the baby has, okay, during those 3 phases, and then the personality patterns that spring about between birth and 3, the stingers and the clingers mainly, and then how the repetition takes place in the, also repetition. So a key concept here is repetition compulsion. So another Golden Windmills of the Mind Award went to Paul Libby Russell's essays on the topic of repetition compulsion. So it starts at TQ 2119. 2119. I highly recommend, that's a good place to start with repetition compulsion. He says they're synonymous. Baby's traumatized, in pain, organism wants to heal. Everything in nature is trying to heal. If the human is wounded, psychologically, body, mind, organism is wounded, how do we heal? Well, the compulsion is cry for the love. But you're stuck in a place of timelessness. Right? The baby's in a state of timelessness, and he's frozen there in a place of timelessness. And he is in his compulsion to get the love that he needs. Okay? So, but there is time, but he transfers the past into the present because the emotionality doesn't know time. I mean, the emotionality for that time doesn't know time. So the present is still the past. There's even a self-help book entitled When the Past is Present. That's the only book I'd recommend from that particular self-help author. That one's not bad. The rest of it is, but that one's okay. When the past is present. Okay. Anyways, right. So the compulsion is to get the love that it needs. Let's call that the cry for love. Right? Everything's love or a cry for love. As mentioned earlier, if the child does go to the developmental place and gets differentiation, gets his golden ball, has a recognition of his true self, and which he expresses, there's the love of life, capacities of the real self, enjoying the present. In trauma, we're going to be crying for the love. Right? I know it's not a perfect either or kind of thing, but just ballpark. Right? So he creates a record, a tune called the Cry for Love. Okay, now. This is repressed, this is frozen in timelessness, it's a conflict, and that's what neurosis is. So neurosis is the petrification or freezing of an inner conflict that's repressed. It makes the person neurotic. Neurotic, why? Because you're not enjoying the present, you're distorting the present. You're in this you're in this wild, you're projecting wild images in your brain unknowingly onto the present, not enjoying the present, not seeing the present, making it up, saying all these awful things. In relation to the imagery that goes on early on, the baby has images. It's called the imaginal world, right? Pictorial thinking, pre-verbal thinking. It's timeless in there. Things are exaggerated. The cat in Alice in Wonderland says it's mad in there. Burglar says, don't expect conscious logic to be the same as unconscious logic. Unconscious logic, oh my God. Double think, trans logic. Oh my God. Unbelievable what people will believe, you know, that because it's coming from that area. It's being evoked from there, right? So Edmund Burger, one of our mentors, says every neurotic is a music enthusiast, but okay, first of all, music enthusiast. He would love to love life. He would love to love life and have a lot of songs and all this, right, in his life. The problem is, he would naturally love to love life. The problem is, he's only got one record, this 45 record. And side B is the same song as what's on side A. It's the same song. He's only got this one song, The Cry for Love. He carries this 45 record with him everywhere he goes. Every time he sees a turntable, record player, he's with never-ending fiery ardor. That's the compulsion part. With never-ending fiery ardor, Berkler says. He spins off that tune, meaning in the present, he's going to play that tune, meaning he's going to recreate, restage, set it up like a theater thing, the thing that happened with the mother, with the breast mother. Okay? In the present, transfer the interaction, the painful interaction between the baby and the breast mother. The first mother is the breast mother. So transfer that into the part of the mother, part object related. Transfer that painful interaction in the past into the present. See it in the present. The present becomes the presenting past. Masterson, as mentioned, one of our mentors, he calls it transference, acting out, like theater. Everybody's an actor. Okay, like you're doing this metaphorical acting thing, psychodrama thing, something to symbolize, metaphorize, like a staging thing, to represent like a mirror or something. This painful original interaction that causes all these problems that we're stuck in. Recreate it in the present. Now, you still think you're in the past, crying for mother's love. So that's why we're neurotic. We're not enjoying the present. We're living in the past, lingering in the past, dwelling in the past, that kind of thing. Going through the motions in life. Okay. So this reenactment can take two forms. Okay. So there's two characters on the record. There's the baby and the breast mother. Right? Baby and the mother. So baby was shamed by the shamer. Of course, very simple, right? Baby's needs and feelings, needs don't get met, feelings ignored. He feels very shamed by this. Okay, the emotionality in the unconscious is this burning, biting feeling. That's the hell imagery in myths and fairy tales. So again, myths and fairy tales, metaphors for inner life. Okay, so shame is the emotion of this burning, biting feeling. So that's in the unconscious, in mythologies that describe this inner world. Okay, myths and fairy tales describe this intrapsychic world. Myths and fairy tales describe this intrapsychic traumatized world. Okay, myths and fairy tales are true on the inside, not on the outside. They're true on the inside. They're stories about the inside, letting us know about our trauma. The storytellers created these stories ingeniously. Of course, it took 10,000, 100,000 years to refine them. Over the storytellers have to keep working on it and see what people emotionally reacted to, tweak the story, retold the story, what worked and what. And so we have now we have anthologies of myths and fairy tales that express that have some kind of uncanny truth because we've lived it, we experienced it. Okay, so these myths and fairy tales are it's an anthology of our trauma. Myths and fairy tales describe psychological trauma. They're metaphors for psychology, psychological life. The storytellers were the shrinks back then, right? Telling stories. Of course, the philosophers and the poets and all the other ones that come along, right? The Ibsens and the novelists and all this. They call it interpretive literature. So all the writers that do what's called interpretive literature, not escapist literature. Forget that. Okay, we're talking about interpretive literature, right? like the Ibsens and all this, right? Okay, so if the child freezes up before 18 months, okay, that the grandiosity time, the time when the grandiosity is meant to kind of dissipate, means he graduates out of the infantile God phase, right? So in the uterus, he thinks the little God, it's all about him, right? Glorified self, idealized self, ego ideal. I mean, all about him, everything's for him, all about him. He creates everything. Omnipotence of thought, or magical thinking means his little sensations, wishes, needs, his little thoughts, his little gestures, magic gestures, it all gets met. He thinks he creates everything. He's like a magician or something. He thinks he's a magician, magic sorcerer. He thinks he's so powerful. So the baby has infantile megalomania, okay? Up until 18 months. In normal development, that gets resolved. Reality kicks in. He gets a conscious mind. He recognizes that he's a person. Others are people. He's a person. Others are people. The template, the emotional, psychic world is person and person, right? And you recognize this fundamental, basic humanness, that we're all humans. We're all one family. We're all from Africa. We're all cousins. We're humans, right? But when you're living in the dream world or the unconscious, traumatized, psychotic, perverse thinking world, you're dealing with gods and demons, and you're dealing with this whole Alice in Wonderland kind of imagery, which affects our perceptions in the present because we're living in the past and we're distorting the present to fit the past because we're still living in the past, and in the present we recreate the trauma in the past in the present with others thinking that we're still in the past, hoping to get the love that was needed. So when we replay that record, it takes two forms. The stinger and the clinger way. Just to keep it simple, the stinger and the clinger way. Two forms. Okay. The more perverse or disturbed issue is when the child is traumatized before 18 months. Okay, the narcissistic pattern and the various types therein. The lower functioning BPD or Of course, the bully pattern is there. That's the more perverse one. And the iago is like even like a more detached, aloof, perverse one. And in all the other criminalic area, which we don't really, unfortunately, talk about too much. So those are all the stinger personality patterns. Okay? So when a person who ends up with a stinger personality pattern. Okay? So first of all, if that's the case, the stinger personality patterns, they didn't get enough love to know themselves, so they're still fused with the mother. Okay. So of course they're going to be pretty angry and not getting love. Okay. So the image is in the Disney film Inside Out. Okay. When joy and sadness got zooped away, it was mainly anger at the console. Anger is not normal or basic or primary. It's the reactivity of when our soul is damaged like this. Normally, in normal development, we have our feeling self, and joy runs the console. Yes, sometimes sadness can run the console, but normally joy runs the console, and we love life, we're enjoying life, and we express our interest, and that's loving life, right? But when there's a trauma, joy and sadness got zooped away, mainly fear, anger, disgust. Disgust was mainly about the physiology of distaste and smell. Fear, the baby is scared at first, but he easily very quickly gets overwhelmed, and then it leads into the anger. Right? And the baby's nursing. Right? He's in his mother's arms. He's afraid. Where's he going to go? He squirms around. He's afraid to flee. He's trying to flee. So the first response to stress is to flee, to flight, right? The baby's going, I want to get out of here, but wait a minute, I need my mother. I can't flee, but I got to flee, but I need her. Where am I going to go? He's trying to flee, but he can't flee. Then the whole mess of it all, it clicks over into the anger. Now the anger, mother still misattuned, malattuned, baby crying, enraged, scared, angry, wants to bite. Now he has fantasies. Come on, mother. And then he's enraged, ultimately. Now he has the fantasy that he wants to control the breast, devour the breast, possess the breast, gobble in the breast, got to have the breast, control it, because he's got to get the love to be fed, to emotionally, not just physical feeding, right? He needs like emotional experiences to know himself. We're born to know ourselves, and the mother says, sorry kid, I'm not gonna, she's not emotionally unavailable, so he's enraged by this. So if this continues like this, if this kind of thing goes on like this again and again and again, sometime before 18 months, the child does a very drastic measure, a maneuver of the mind in his intrapsychic inner world. There's like a theater in the mind kind of thing. He's going to see himself onto others and identify with the aggressor, to have some kind of mother, to have some kind of attachment to the mother. He's going to imitate her. He never had her. He didn't get a loving mother, so he'll just be the shaming mother. And that's his constant connection to the mother, to act like her. So the mother shamed him, he'll shame himself. Too painful, he finds someone else to represent him. Okay. The record says mother shamed him. He's now the shaming mother who's going to shame him, but he's going to see himself onto others. So the behavior is he'll shame himself, who's seen onto others, to not feel the pain. He does relive the pain, but it's projection. You distract your attention of it outwardly. So he's going to shame others to replay the record of how the mother shames him. He's still shaming himself, but the trick is he sees himself onto others, called projection. Again, projection, something about yourself, whereby if you were to admit it, it would cause too much anxiety and pain. So to squelch that, you trick of the mind, your attention is outwardly. It's called projection. So there's your prejudice, of course, and scapegoating, of course, and focusing your attention on others and making excuses and making it up that others are this and others are that, because you have this compulsion to see yourself onto others. Because you need to replay the record of a mother shaming you, but you don't want to feel the pain of mother shaming you again. So you got to find some excuse to say others are no good, and you'll see your ungood self that you believed you created back then. See your unloved self onto others. Play the mother who shames you, but now you're playing her, but you're seeing yourself onto others, so you're going to shame others. You see? So those are the stinger personality patterns. When they replay the record of mother shaming them, the behavior is they're going to shame others to replay how the mother shamed them. That's them being loyal to the mother, acting like the mother, one with the mother, still chasing the mother by being loyal to her. And that process of imitating her and being loyal to her is the ongoing fantasy that if they keep on doing it again and again and again, maybe one day, magically, one day, once upon a time, maybe mother will change her ways, provide the love, invent the time machine, change the past, get the love. You see, it doesn't work. So the stinger personality patterns can spend their whole lives being negative towards others. Now the turning point, the gift, the promise of psychoanalysis, as Lucy Holm calls it, the gift here is that if we're aware, we go, oh my God, do you mean to tell me that what I'm doing is my unconscious self telling me what happened in the nursery? Oh my God, that I learned it back then and I'm supposed to get this lesson? So it's as if the unconscious self, right? So us that we don't, all of us that's repressed and denied, it's like the unconscious self or the double self or the secret self or the unknown self, or like it's like the one who walks with me who's not like me, who is me. Someone's living my life, I know nothing about him. So this, all of us that's undeveloped, that's got frazzled up, who we would be, who had we been loved, this whole self that's denied, this denied self, that goes into the unconscious, sometimes called the double self or the secret self, unconscious self. And there's a lot of energy in there. All the energy is called the id, hence it's powerful because our life force is all in there, mostly in there, right? And it's very vibrant in there, very alive in there. Okay, click in look up the painting Stepping Out by Roy Lichtenstein. Painting called Stepping Out, Roy Lichtenstein. That has also won a Golden Windmills of the Mind Award. That painting, that colorful, cartoonish-like painting, right? You can see it immediately what I'm talking about. Okay, so on the one side, very vibrant, alive, it has this big eye, it has a mind of its own, it's conscious, unconscious, conscious, or that's the unconscious logic eye. It's twisted, it's Alice in Wonderland eye, right? But it's powerful, it's vibrant, right? And notice on the other side of the painting, the guy is like bland. He looks kind of a bit like that poor guy who was moping around. You saw him on the camera, right? Yeah, actually. No, actually, the guy in Stepping, no, he wasn't that bad. The guy in Stepping Out, he looked actually worse off. He was more disconnected. No, I think that guy we saw on the camera, I think he still has some, no, he's not that far detached from himself. You can still see his emotions in his face. But that guy in Stepping Out, he was like, oh boy, he looked like a really devitalized kind of character. And you saw the gap there between his face, between him, and it was like he has no bridge. There's no Hermes flying across. That's how traumatized he is. He's so traumatized. His whole golden ball's in the unconscious. So all that energy in the unconscious is called the id. So it's like the iceberg metaphor. It's powerful. It's called the puppet master. For an individual, it's the secret government, the shadow government, the invisible government for the person. Just like in the outer world, right? As above, so below. Just like in the outer world, these committee of whatever it is, 200, 300, whatever it is, that decide all these things about plundering and pillaging, are pretty powerful, and they control, they're pretty, and we don't, right? So just as there's like an outer kind of a committee or something that moves everything, and well, our unconscious self is analogous. There's an unconscious self that's kind of like the puppet master. We're like the puppet, and the idea is to dialogue with ourselves and get to know ourselves and reclaim and re-own and re-synthesize and reappropriate, get back into ourselves. A lot of the self is in there. A lot of our self is in there. It's called the repressed self. We want to get back the repressed self into our conscious self. Then we make sense, enjoy life in the present. So this little dialogue back and forth, like in the Phantom of the Opera story, or like in the film, that uncertain feeling, the young lady with the tortured artist, that dialogue there. We want to get to know, or the double, the essay called The Double by Otto Rank, which he bases on the story, The Student of Prague. We want to dialogue with ourselves, right? I'm baking here already, eh? Jesus. Yeah, I'm sweating already, Jesus. There's no AC in here, right? It's like 40 outside, right? No, everything's being used, eh? Jesus. Actually, it's a Friday, so things are busier here, eh? What a pity, eh? Where's gonna go? Well, I guess I'll have to go back to where. I guess I'll have to go back a bit. Okay, let's do another air conditioning run. That's too bad, eh? I wish I could just stay in one spot. Maybe I'll just stay here. What about right here? Oh no, that's all the stuff is there. Yeah, okay. Can you believe it's still? Oh, they're both still there. Actually, one of them left. Okay, maybe yeah, one of them left. So maybe I can just move over here. But yeah, he's got the right idea. He found the nice spot. He found my nice spot. He's just sitting there doing nothing basically. Okay, let's try this. Unless I get distracted by him. Let's see. Maybe, yeah, okay, let's just try this then. There's the flower. Okay, let me get used to this little arrangement here. It's kind of tough to talk freely with someone just right beside you like that. At least I'll cool off a bit. Only got less than an hour. Yeah, less than an hour here. So we were talking about the record, yeah. So when the stinger personality, when those with the stinger personality pattern play that record, meaning recreate, restage, re-experience, redo, using others for them, they play the shaming mother, and restage that actual experience with the mother, restage it in the present. Of course he's not making sense, of course it's hurtful to others, that's why they're the stinger personality patterns. It doesn't make sense. Shaming others to replay the record of the past doesn't change the past. Bergler once said in one of his books, he said, it's as if the person is saying in the present, hey mother in the mind, look, you see how good I am to you? I'm acting just like you. You see, I'm treating others, representing me, the way you treated me. I'm finding others to play me, I'm playing you. I'm going to show you how you treated me. I'm going to treat them the way you treated me. Do you feel seen? Does that help you? Do you feel the oneness? Do you feel my loyalty to you? Is that enough? Can you wherever you are, can you invent the time machine, take us back to the nursery, change your ways, give me the proper love, so I can get the proper wiring down, so I can know myself? Does it work? Of course it's not going to work. It's nonsense. Another version of Bergler had at one time was sort of in a spiteful tone. You see, mother, I'm showing you what I didn't want. This negative thing, what I'm doing towards others, I didn't want this. I'm showing you what I didn't want. I'm so angry what you did to me. I'm displacing, I'm recreating it in my anger, and I'm trying to communicate what I didn't like. So that was another version of it. But anyways, however we describe it. Yeah, he settled in there. Jeez. Oh, I hope he's not going to be a regular like me, then I'm stuck. I just discovered this spot. I've only done like two videos here so far. 2 or 3 maybe. It's a nice spot, isn't it? I can't really show, I don't want to show you the guy that's in it, but okay, when I cool off, I'll go back to the other place. Okay, so that's the stinger personality patterns, right? Now, part of the stinger personality patterns is the mindset that when they're traumatized, they're holding on. Embedded within the stinger personality patterns is that they're taking refuge in the old regressed belief that they were a little god. Jeanette Paris calls it like the babyhood throne kind of thing. the glorified self, the idealized self. Infantile megalomania, Berger calls it. Thinking it's all about you, you're above it all, you know. And the humanists, their own humanists, they reject it, devalue it. They have a lot of disparaging terms for it. They'll say a lot of negative things about their own, and they'll see that onto others and say it outwardly like that. So their mind attitude will be, well, I'm okay, you're not okay. But they projected their humanists onto others. And they're referring to the infantile God fantasy of being okay. So they're in this like deluded God attitude. The humanists they reject, and they'll say negative things about their own humanists placed onto others and say, oh, they're no good, they're fill in the blank, they're fill in the, okay, you get your dictionary of put down terms. They got this massive dictionary of shaming kind of terms. So, oh, they're that, they're this, they're that. Oh, I'm superior, I'm above it all, I'm unique, special. They'll have all these inflated. It comes from this excited feeling of how special and wonderful someone feels when they're one with everything that's around them. Okay, it's called the unico mystica, the participation mystique. They're special and loved and blissfully special with the powerful goddess mother. Like when you're right, that's they're kind of reverting to that, and they're stuck there, taking refuge in that, and trying to perpetuate it. And hence, there's an immense sense of entitlement. So lack of empathy, lack of warmth, lack of care, like they're just in this infantile entitlement place, right? Again, the main emotions with the sting of personality patterns are hate, greed, envy, spite, vindictiveness. Okay, the yardstick is that there's no gratitude because the yardstick, they measure things by that perfect breast. So if something isn't the perfect breast, it's worthless. Okay, everything or nothing, either or, idealized, devalued. So nothing can measure up to what was needed, so they reject everything. So that's going to lead to prejudice, of course. Now they don't have the psychic structure to mourn losses. Remember, they don't mourn losses. They don't have the self. Joy and sadness are frozen. No self-concept, meaning no floor for sadness to stand on. They can't register the sadness, so they can't mourn. There's your melancholia, pathological nostalgia, complicated grief, aggravated grief, the derailment of the grief process. And that's a lot of frustration like that, right? And now we can sublimate that into art and music and all that. That's fine, but if they don't sublimate it, they're going to do manic defenses: greed, envy, hate, anger, aggressive things to distract themselves. Remember, all this anger and rage is because they didn't get a secure attachment style. Aletha Horner said about the pillow, in the self-help groups in the 70s or something, people would come, oh, I can help you. Here's a pillow, hit the pillow. You feel better? Nonsense. People can access their anger. It's not that. The issue is why. Why are people angry? Why this rage? Okay, because when the baby's needs don't get met, baby's not greedy. He's not greedy. He just has basic needs. When his basic needs don't get met, he gets scared. Scared clicks over to anger. Anger, again and again, he gets angry and angry. Finally, he ends up with oral greed. Okay? And that's the rage, right? The oral greed becomes a rage like this. So he didn't get the attachment. He didn't get the safe attachment, so that's why he's in rage. So rage and all this is about lack of safe attachment, lack of connection. Actually, ironically, at the same time, the slogan, the self-help slogan for the 70s or whatever was just connect, will you? Just like find connections, like warm connections and trust, and don't expect too much, just try to connect. Okay, yeah, he's not budging now. See, he was there when I came and I waited a while and he's still there. Jesus, okay. Let's do the pillow one here. Let's see, I think I have it here. Hold on a sec. Do we have it here? Oh no, it's going to be in the next video, the pillow one. Yeah, okay. I couldn't fit it in with this video here. Okay. Okay, it'll be in the next video, I think. Was it in the last video? It's either in the last video or it'll be in the next video. So stingers are in this constant pursuit of maintaining this illusionary attitude that they're this infantile God and their own humanness seen unto others is not good. So the mindset will be, I'm okay, you're not okay. Just keep it simple. Eric Byrne's idea. I'm okay, you're not okay. Again, when he says you're not okay, when he says you're this, you're inferior this, and when he has this kind of contemptuous, okay, he's talking about himself. Okay, he can't relive the feeling of how the mother treated him. He identifies with the aggressor. Okay. Why does the baby identify with the aggressor? Why would? Of course, no baby can make it without a mother. The baby would rather have an abusive, aggressive mother than have no mother. But if he has an emotionally abusive mother, he's got to. Oh, you got to be kidding! Oh, he just ordered another meal. Oh my God! This guy just had a second major meal. Must be hungry, huh? Okay. Should I go back? I think I've cooled off a bit. Yeah, let's go back to the. Let's let this man enjoy his meal number 3. Why don't I just finish this and hold on a second. Give me a minute here. Hold on a second. Hopefully that room's still available. Let's see. Thanks. Yeah, see you next time. Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's see. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, my God. Yikes. It's baking in here. Can I hold out for 30 minutes here? Go this way. Go this way. Oh, they're probably going to close it up soon anyways, yeah. Okay, let me do the quotes then. So we talked a lot about distinct personality patterns, like individually, like each of them, as a separate thread. So there's a lot of material there about distinct personality patterns. A key one is that they have a scapegoat hunger. If two stingers get married, all that hostility, whoa, they're gonna provoke one of their children. It's called evocation of a proxy. They want to provoke one of their children to be naughty. They actually want to create it. They want to see one of their children angry, so that in their fantasy they could think that the child is expressing their anger. So the child's like a proxy character. Again, proxy, someone who feels for you, does something for you, plays a role for you. And the parents want to create that. That's called evocation of a proxy. They're scapegoating the child. They're traumatizing the child deliberately to make him angry, unconsciously, deliberately to make him angry. Then they can have the fantasy that the child is expressing some of their anger. So that gives them some partial relief, but that's just the setup part. Yeah? So the father secretly delights, yeah, be angry, good, I like that. Mother says, yeah, be angry, I like that. So the parents don't be angry at each other. Because the parents can't make. Another characteristic of the stinger personality patterns is they can't make eyes. They don't want to make I statements. Vulnerability, affection, tenderness, oh my God, they rejected that. Because for them, it was rejected painfully very early on in them, and they've identified with a rejecting mother, so they don't accept it. So they don't make I statements towards each other. They're in a utilitarian kind of thing where they just take turns playing big shot together, refueling their narcissistic status together. But there are other feelings that they need proxies, the child for it. So that's just part A. Evoke one of their children to be naughty. That's just a setup. Yeah? So it's easy to do, right? Obviously, the parents know how to easily hurt a child, right? They can do all these endless little annoying things, and finally the child will be angry. But that's just part A. Part B, the parents then step back and say, oh yeah, now we have an excuse to express their anger at the child. Because the parents want to express their anger, they express it at the child. They don't have love. When love is missing, anger is there, right? So they express their anger at the child, not at the parents. This point is very much emphasized by Murray Bowen. Maybe too much, but anyways, it's there. He calls it like this emotional triangle issue about like the family systems theory idea that the third is absorbing or expressing what the other two can't deal with, or something like that. So the child is scapegoated. His needs aren't being met. He's enraged. Parents then manufacture an excuse. Okay? They then wait, and LIHOP, let it happen on purpose. So they create the conditions into the child, wait for him to be angry, sit back, let it happen on purpose. Then they can say, aha, see, he's angry. Now he's a bad child, right? And the wife and the husband team up, and they get along, they bond on this, and then they express their anger at the child. He's hugely scapegoated, this poor kid. Innocent poor kid playing the therapist for these traumatized parents. In the comic psychoanalysis, if you go to Dark Horse Publishing, download that comic. One of the characters there, a guy named Freddy, was in that sort of in that situation, similar dynamic there. That has won another Golden Windmills of the Mind award, that comic psychoanalysis. So we mentioned a few already here in this video. 22 Golden Windmills of the Mind of awards. 22 Windmills of the Mind awards have been issued to date so far. There'll be more coming up. So that's one as well. The comic psychoanalysis, 1955, 4 issues, 12 therapy sessions, 3 fictional clients, all put into artwork, available now on your iPhone through the Dark Horse Publishing Company. Well worth whatever the $20 or whatever it is, €15 I think it is. Last time I checked. The best introduction to psychoanalysis is that comic. That comic offers the best, in my humble opinion, that best introduction to psychoanalysis is right there in that comic. Okay, they talk about the toxic masculinity guy, the womanizer guy, and the emotional, the overeater one, and the woman who's social anxiety one, and the family systems one, and dream interpretation, repetition compulsion, a few other points. They have a little comic section called id bits, you know, instead of tidbits, like little trivia kind of thing. And the artwork is not bad as well, right? So yes, it's dramatized. Yes, it looks a little over the top, but it's just enough to preserve the teaching point. It's on the line like that. If they made it more ridiculous, you'd lose the message. So they were kind of close like that. But the message is still there. The teaching is still there. The interpretive literature is still there. See, they were on the line between escapist literature, like escapist artwork, versus interpretive artwork. See, most literature and art is sort of escapist. We need the interpretive stuff. So that comic, I think, is still within the interpretive area, right? Now, of course, the interpretive area can include a little bit of the escapism, right? But the focus has got to be in the interpretive area. So, yeah, that's a key point there, but the scapegoat hunger. So, they evocation of a proxy, set it up, create the conditions, and then sit back and LIHOP. Let it happen on purpose. Let the child be angry on purpose. They want the child to be angry on purpose. They're waiting for it, because then they can have an excuse to express their anger on the child, and that keeps the parents in that mode of the constant reactivity of not being able to accept their feelings. They're always angry. They need someone to be angry at, so they scapegoat one of the children. You see. And one theory is as above, so below, inside out. So in the outer world, you know, people talk about all this false flag phenomena, right? So where's the psychic, what's the psychic template for that? Like, what is the psychic template for this? Well, let's say they traumatize the child on purpose, make him upset, waiting for him to be angry. Let's say the child doesn't really do anything wrong. But let's say the child does some like benign little thing. They'll hallucinate. They want to believe that the child is attacking the parents or something. So they'll just make it up. They need an excuse to express their anger at. So there's like the false flag kind of thing. The parents needing to believe it, fantasizing it by the benign child is doing his best to deal with his pain himself kind of thing. He's holding his kitten or whatever. He's trying to, oh no, he's doing this, he did this on purpose. They're paranoid. They're making it up because they have a, so maybe that urgency of the parents to need to see the child as naughty so they can have an excuse to be angry at the child. And let's say the child's not angry, they're waiting for it to happen, but let's say it doesn't happen, they'll accuse the child of something. And they want to believe, and then they'll believe it. They'll need to believe it. Remember, those are the stinger personality patterns invent and manufacture identities for others for their psychological needs. Their psychological need is to have a defense against complicated grief. Melancholia, they can't mourn, pain there, they need a defense. The anger is a reactivity of the anger that they lost their joy and sadness, their golden ball. They're always expressing the anger like that. So that maybe that's why in the outer world the common phenomena is make things difficult for others, right? And then they'll do something, then you have an excuse. What if they do nothing? Well, just say it. You orchestrate it yourself and say they did it. And the emotionality is burning that you believe it, right? Like a person will hit himself or something and say they hit me, and they'll believe that the other one hit them. The template is there. We express the intrapsychic interpersonally. The interpersonal becomes intrapsychic, which then expresses itself interpersonally. Let's make sure I get in today's quotes here. So let's sidebar here to do today's quotes because it's mainly on object relations theory. And maybe if there's time left, I'll come back to finish up more about the stinger personality patterns, the double think, the trans logic. Oh yeah, and then when they do that, there's a whole, like outwardly you got all the PR, okay? And then the propaganda, it's called rationalization. So rationalization is to give the appearance of being reasonable, to hide the emotional need to express your anger. So the parents will say, oh yeah, we're the parents, we're right, parents are always right. You know, they'll make a rationalization, that makes sense, we're older, we have more experience, we're right. What does that child, what does the kid know? Or something. So they'll make some rationalization, and, oh, it sounds reasonable. So that's their own PR, propaganda, right? Now, an outer propaganda, the template is set up in there. The template is the baby must believe the mother's good, right? The baby can't know the truth that the mother's hurting him. Mother's hurting him, mother says, I'm right. Oh, yes, mother, you're right. The baby cannot question. The template is there. The baby must have the attachment. So the outer is whoever owns the blowhorn or whatever, they'll say what they want to say, you know, and oh, it's right, it's right. Like the template is the way the baby says, mother, you're right, that kind of thing. Interpersonal leads intrapsychic, which expresses itself later on interpersonally. So the later on interpersonally, we can see it when people who own the loudest voice or whatever and bombard you with this, and your triggering is, well, that's the mother voice. And then you're in a helpless receiving passive voice, you go, yes, that kind of thing. And you can see it, it's sad. It's sad, the lack of self-awareness. Healing is, we've got to be self-aware. Healing is, make some links. Okay, that's when Hermes flies across. The whole message of Hermes flying across is we're healing. That's called narrative medicine. The storytellers, the Ibsens, the Goethes, all of the literature people, all of the philosophers, all the teachers, they're trying to say, we've got to make the unconscious conscious. Okay? Where it was, ego shall be, Freud's famous line. That one we can use, right? And part of the rationalization or propaganda is called doublethink. Doublethink. The baby takes the mother's voice as his voice. That mechanism's there. It's set up in there. So you trigger it. It's called translogic. Okay? So when people who own a blowhorn or whatever say this, we believe this, it's a lie. Oh, I believe this. You see it all the time. The baby takes as his voice the mother's voice. Okay? Later on, people on the blowhorn, oh, I say this. Oh, I say this. It's triggered up. You see it. You see, it's part of the pillage and the plunder. Okay, that's embedded within the pillage and the plunder. The mother pillaged and plundered the baby's soul. The baby pillaged and plundered the child's emotional land. So outer stolen land, inner stolen land. As above, so below, inside out. Because that's what we talked about recently, the past couple of videos, right? Mother short-sold the baby's soul, land. Okay, gave him poverty as a result. Identifies with the aggressor. Give a short sell outwardly, destroy, wreck things, make a profit, poverty outward to externalize the inner poverty. Inside out, outside in. Some people like to say macro, micro. Some people like to say, you know, there's this, back to the 70s again. I think there's a self-help slogan to emphasize this. They say, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And not to be taken too literally, but just the general idea that maybe many times the pattern you have, like locally, like the way you argue in your home, then it's maybe you do that in the workplace, like the way you do something small. Maybe that's like a pattern, and you do it all the time with everybody. That was sort of an approximation for repetition compulsion, right? Like doing the same thing over and over again. You did it here, well, you do it again later. Okay, let's not go there too much. And the doublethink, part of the PR, probably doublethink, another part of the translogic and the unconscious logic is called doublethink. So the aggressor can hurt the victim, and the aggressor says, well, they're the victim, because the template is the fusion. Self and aggressor are one. They become the aggressor who hurts them. When they act like the aggressor and shame others, they are re-triggered by how the mother shamed them, so they feel like the victim from the past. Then they say, oh, the one they just victimized in the present is them in the past who was victimized by the mother. You see? So the person with the bully pattern can find some innocent kid and hurt the kid in the playground or something, and then convince everyone that kid was the no good and he's right, he's wrong. And the innocent kid didn't even know them or something like that. And people will believe it because the audience has that in their minds themselves. They have it in their minds. That it's possible that within the aggressor and the victim are fused, and it can flip around like that. So doublethink. Okay, let me say it again. When the person with the bully pattern hurts others to replay how the mother hurt him, they are reminded of how the mother hurt him. Hocus pocus, auto-hypnosis, double focus. Okay. The one they just victimized, they'll say, is the mother from the past. There's no time there. It's the mother who hurt them. And the person they victimized is the mother in the past who hurt them. Then they displace, oh, that one, the mother and the victim in the present, who's the mother in the past. Oh, that victim in the present is the one who hurt me. That's why I feel badly. And then they flip it. Now they're the aggressor in self-defense of the victim, thinking they're the mother in the past who hurt them. There's no time in there. So that's part of this doublethink and translogic. Hocus pocus, double focus. It's remarkable. I'm posting this in the year 2023, October. I'm a little encouraged to see the people in Ireland speaking up, trying to call this out the best they can. So they're maybe a little more aware of their empathy. So what is it about Ireland? Like, well, maybe they have the Celtic spirituality. Maybe they manage to maintain some kind of spiritual tradition. The stinger personalities hate all that. Religion squelches that. I mean, I'm talking about from the aggressor side, not the victim side, right? So the purpose of religion is as a tool of the plunder. The purpose of religion is to maintain splitting. Eat my greed or your greed. Another thing about the stingers is when the baby is nursing, oh, there's my mother, great. Mother's doing it wrong. He's enraged, projects his rage onto the breast. the breast mother's enraged. It is unmet need that turn into oral greed, projects, and says the angry, enraged mother is a devouring monster that wants to eat him, a hungry wolf that wants to eat him. He identifies with that and says he's got to act like that, otherwise he'll be eaten by his own image. So his slogan will be, well, it's my greed or your greed. Okay? It's mad in there. The cat is right. The cat and Alice. Okay, the jargon is perverse thinking, perversion thinking. The way a man who sees a woman's knee and has the excitement that the baby sees the breast, that's perverse thinking. It's perversion thinking. It's a fetish perversion. That's the jargon. Not the best term for it, but some people call it psychotic thinking, distorted thinking. We don't know. I don't know what the right phrase. Unconscious logic, trans logic, perverse thinking, perverse logic, psychotic logic. We don't know what it is, but it's all cloaked over with rationalizations. Okay, and people believe the rationalizations the way a baby must believe the mother. The baby must believe that the mother's good. He wouldn't make it if he accepted the reality that the mother was hurting him. He hallucinates a goddess mother and says, oh, the mother's right. The baby has to feel safe enough with the mother to take in even the powdered stuff. So the template, the psychic structure is there to believe the lie and to become the liar to get others to believe the lie. The psychic structure is in there with trauma. That's why we don't want babies traumatized. Lloyd DeMaz is right. The babies need love. Babies need a normal, secure attachment style. I think the coffee is kicking in a little bit, yeah. I'm not much of a coffee drinker, so I find caffeine makes me a little jittery, a little absent-minded kind of thing. So I'm not delivering this in a smooth, relaxed, calm, easygoing manner. Plus, I got the time factor on my mind here. Okay, 20 minutes left here. Okay, let's do the quotes here. So it's mainly about what does object relations theory mean? What do we mean by this phrase, object relations theory? Okay. Some people say, well, why do you call it person related? Well, the object doesn't always have to be a person, right? I just saw this morning the Family Feud clip. Somebody, the question was, when a baby first learns to speak, what is the first thing they ask for? You know what the guy, you know what one of the answers was? Bottle. 30-something% of the response to that survey, if it's accurate or not, said bottle. Wow. That was very sad. A very sad reply. And the guy who answered it, that was his immediate first association. Oh, bottle. No mother? Where's the mother? Well, mama was number one, but I think they didn't say what the other ones was, but they showed on the scoreboard that bottle got 30-something% of it. Why did that come up? How did that? Oh yeah, we got a. Okay, hang on. I went on a side tangent there. I don't usually talk about current events and things, but occasionally it sort of slips in a little bit. I did include a recent current event in the last video. I think it was part 2. A clip from Claire Daly describing the pillage and the plunder system, calling it a white European expansionism project. I thought, yeah, okay, so there's the prejudice, shade of beige, shade of brown. What's that about? So we talked about prejudice. Now religion promotes the prejudice. Religion is to maintain the prejudice. Okay. The purpose of religion is to maintain prejudice, because in the religious stories, it's not about healing you. It's about, maintain prejudice. Maintain fantasies of a goddess breast in the sky. How do you feel imagining a goddess in the sky? Okay, so they describe the breast. Baby, one with the breast, baby feels good. Trigger that. They want to trigger that. You feel good? Amazing. Put money in the basket. See you next time. But the real purpose is to maintain the splitting. Okay? When you constantly imagine the good breast in the sky, or the phantom placenta in the sky who's feeding you and all and taking care of you, and the good, bountiful, beautiful, loving mother breast in the sky, and you trigger the ancient feeling of having bliss and oneness with the mother, that maintains the splitting. So the real agenda of tricking people to get a little hit of serotonin and oxytocin and blissful union excited is to maintain the splitting. Good breast, bad breast. Okay, good fairy witch and a bad witch. Maintain the splitting. Don't heal the splits. Maintain the splits. Okay. Splitting precludes differentiation. Splitting prevents knowing yourself, having your golden ball. If splitting is still there, you're very angry, and you're seeing things in either or way. You're denying one, seeing the other, and then now that maintains the grandiosity. Me good, you no good. That maintains everything or nothing. That maintains trauma. That means repetition compulsion to treat others the way you were treated. Okay? That maintains the false belief that you are the aggressor, and you're going to think that, well, if I'm not the aggressor, then I'll be eaten by my mother image. So the slogan is eat or be eaten. And that's actually one of the official slogans of the Pillage and the Plunder. My greed or your greed. Okay, I went off on a tangent here a bit. I struggled a little bit with this in the recent videos there. I'm sweating again here. Yeah, I gotta finish this. So you'll see me perspiring a little bit, but I think I really need to finish this. I only got 15 minutes left here. Unless I do a part 2. Okay, let's see how it goes. Okay, so again, object relations theory is the study of the internalization, the template, the schema, the temporal, spatial spectacles. These spectacles, we see the world through these spectacles. If it's a traumatic spectacles, see that we're going to distort the present to fit the spectacles. So we study this issue here. Okay? So object relations theory is the study of the internalization of interpersonal relationships. The interpersonal leads to the intrapsychic, which then expresses itself interpersonally. So the behavior in the present is an expression of the intrapsychic, as above, so below, inside out. This is what we got to make this link that Hermes is flying across. The gods are happy, Athena's happy, the soul, organisms healing, nature, we're feeling better when we make a link. So you want to feel better, you got to heal. The true feeling better comes from the healing, right? Not when you distract yourself from pain relief in the moment. Okay, let's begin here. Okay, so if you click the more link or the see more link or whatever it says, you'll see these quotes here. I'm not sure how well you're seeing it here. Psychic structure refers to an enduring organization of psychological elements. The development of the mental structures we call the self and object representations takes place in the context of the primary caretaking relationship, as well as in the context of built-in schedules of maturation. Okay. Again, psychic structure refers to an enduring organization of psychological elements, memories, feelings, self-concept, other concept, relational units, template. Okay. So psychic structure, it's like these burned-in neural pathways based on your memories and your experiences, leads to psychic structure. Psychic structure refers to an enduring, there it is, enduring organization of psychological elements. The development of the mental structures we call the self and object representations takes place in the context of the relationship, as well as in the context of built-in biological needs to grow up, emotionally grow and develop, psychological birth. What was first interpersonal becomes intrapsychic. Here's the key one here. What was first interpersonal becomes intrapsychic, i.e. structured. And what is then intrapsychic is expressed interpersonally. So emphasis, let's highlight that sentence there, right? The term object relations is a structural concept referring to the inner mental structure of the self and object representations and their dynamic interplay, along with associated characteristic feelings, wishes, fears, and all that. What is at first interpersonal becomes structured as the enduring organization of the mind. That is, it becomes intrapsychic. And then what has become intrapsychic once again becomes expressed in the interpersonal situation. An object relations approach is inevitably an interpersonal approach. And in the clinical situation, it will be expressed in the form of transference and countertransference, coaxing the other to play a role for you, seeing the other in terms of the past, coaxing others to that end. Attention to the interpersonal process is part of the object relations approach. Clients benefit most from therapy when the therapist correctly identifies their core relationship problem, regardless of the presenting problem. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what the presenting problem is. So apparently, Masters, first thing they say, what's your chief complaint? That's the presenting problem. So whatever the presenting problem is, you got to look for the psychic structure and how it's being expressed. That's the underlying thing you got to look for, right? We're trying to heal psychic structure, update psychic structure. One guy says, we want to unpick the threads of a traumatic script, psychic structure, use those threads to weave a new, healthier script. One guy said, oh, your problems you're telling me, we may say that this is what your intrapsychic structure is doing to you, or what your script is doing to you. Let us, as a team, see what we can do with that script. Work together. Okay, this identification is enhanced by the therapist's understanding of the underlying structural situation in object relations terms. As such, interpretations formulated around wishes, fears, feelings, or impulses in the interpersonal context have a ring of truth for the client inasmuch as he has experienced them, even though he is unable to articulate them. Yeah. See, that's why myths and fairy tales are powerful. You see, they articulate something we know and experience, but we don't have words for. From this interpersonal object relations perspective, we can come to understand sometimes puzzling behaviors or symptoms. You see, in the present, somebody might be doing a very cruel thing and say how innocent and wonderful they are, and say that the victims, thousands of children being murdered and all that, and they say, oh, look how bad those little innocent children are, and the violent criminals, they'll say how nice they are and how bad the children. Like this is how do we understand this perverse, upside down, flip floppy? How do we understand? And people believe it and they say it. How do we understand this? Okay, so here's a clue to it here. Where are we here? It's puzzling. From this interpersonal object relations perspective, we can come to understand sometimes puzzling behaviors or symptoms. Puzzling behaviors or symptoms. So people with this propaganda nonsense, oh boy, well, how do you understand that? Okay, it's trans logic, it's doublethink, trauma, identification with the aggressor, crying for love, saying what the mother did to them, saying they didn't like what the mother did to them. This is code. Their outer disturbing behavior is code for the intrapsychic interaction with the mother back then in the nursery. Okay, the answer lies, as usual. Burglar says, look to the nursery, he says. For example, a woman noted that when she was alone on weekends, she would become involved in a litany of self-criticism. One might be hard-pressed to find the interpersonal wish in this report, yet exploration revealed that her mother's criticism was her way, that her mother's criticism of her was the most familiar and emotionally salient aspect of their relationship. By reenacting this interaction in her own mind, she in effect brought her mother to her and then felt less alone. So this is sort of just a simple example, I guess, right? So let's say somebody's alone walking in the trail, nice day, butterflies flying around, and somehow they're criticizing themselves. What's wrong with me? Why can't I enjoy this? And all that keeps the mother in the mind. It triggers the mother. You feel less alone if you re-evoke the intrapsychic. You feel less alone, kind of thing, right? Child can't make it on his own. He's got to have the mother. But if the mother's traumatizing, he can't be alone. So he's re-evoking the mother all the time. So that's how the intrapsychic can affect us later on in life. This reminds us of William Fairbairn's dictum that the child is object-seeking, not just gratification-seeking. So he gets credit for this famous shift in psychoanalysis, but the baby's looking for a mother. He's not looking for any kind of special pleasure. He doesn't care where he gets it from. Nonsense. He has an innate drive, innate expectation. Where's the breast? The first mother's the nipple and the breast. He wants to suck, he wants to latch on, suckle. He's looking for that. All of his life force is looking for the nipple and the breast to latch on, suckle, and bond with the mother. So his life force is looking for that. He's not looking for some kind of pleasure outside of that. It's nonsense, right? So Fairbairn gets credited for that. The pathological attachment cannot be relinquished until a healthy one has been established. This, of course, is often the most critical aspect of the therapy relationship. or any kind of positive relationship. If you have a good friend, it might do it, I guess. Healthy, depression-free individuation requires a structured, good object and a loving internal presence. Right? So the new relational unit we need in the brain, in the psychic structure, is some sense of self who is seeking for healing and love with some impression of something from the outside that they remember that supports them. There's a new relational unit. That's a psychic structure that we're looking for. In trauma, we don't get it. In trauma, it's the self who is shamed by the rejecting mother, or you got a self who, when he's down and out, maybe mother provides love when he's down and out and doesn't grow. Well, where's the self-concept that feels supported for his healing and development? We need that kind of structure. Now, knowledge and reading can build the ego, but at the end of but finally, there needs to be some kind of a interpersonal human connection to have like a positive experience, and you build on that kind of thing. But the knowledge creates the confidence to establish that new psychic structure. Right? Okay, Joseph Sandler notes that every wish comes to include a representation of the person's own self and a representation of the object who has a role to play in the fulfillment of their wish. That is, the wish contains representations of both self and object interaction. So it's kind of like a gestalt. It's all linked up. If you're talking about the self, well, the feeling and the other is going to come up. You talk about the feeling, well, the self and the other memory is going to come up. Talk about the other, well, the self and the feeling with the other. It's a relational unit. So if you touch on one, the three will come up. That's what he means. Okay, the next three discuss the difference between projection and projective identification. So let's read that one tomorrow. So we'll do a part 2. Yeah, I'm not finished here. So we'll do a part 2. So this video is part 1 of 2 of TQ 2713. We'll do a part 2 next time. Let's squeeze in this one here. To see parents as they really are, without a dependent idealization or defensive disparagement. See, idealized, devalued, right? Goddess demon, right? To see your parents without idealizing them or totally hating them. This constitutes one of the steps in the resolution of the mother complex. Okay, so our opening quote on forgiveness is on YouTube. Type in Bruce Springsteen, Independence Day, Toronto, and listen to the intro he gives. You don't really see it you don't see the stage very well. You don't even see him. You don't even see the stage. It's all dark and all that. But the audio is clear. You can hear him very clearly. Listen to the introduction he gives to that song, Emotional Independence Day. He's talking about Emotional Independence Day. And that's when you forgive the parents. So he talks about that. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of the healing journey. That one right there, in my opinion, that Bruce Springsteen quote. So all of these are by Aletha Horner. Let's squeeze in this one by Carl Sagan, the famous presenter, about the pale blue dot. I wanted to end on like an upbeat, encouraging, back to basics. Come on, let's come down to earth kind of thing. It's been said that astronomy is a humbling, and I might add a character-building experience. To my mind, there is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image in our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly and compassionately with one another, and to preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known, right? So here's our second Carl Sagan quote so far. We have an earlier one as well. We have played the clip a few times, how we project our trauma outwardly. So he talks about this as well, right? The intrapsychic, we express it outwardly on the planet. He says we project our traumatized nature onto nature. Right? We project the placenta onto the earth and say the earth is a phantom placenta. The earth is a phantom breast, and we're replaying this traumatic memories outwardly. This current outer interpersonal interaction, not only with people, it's on the planet as well. That's what he's talking about. So we're destroying the planet to replay how the mother destroyed us, thinking that by destroying the planet, we're being loyal to the mother. And if we're loyal to the mother, we think that we're saving her to get our love. Nonsense. Destroying the planet doesn't heal what happened to us in the nursery. So this is a theory here, right? Okay, this is going to cut out in 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, okay. I'm baking here, right? Okay, we'll finish this tomorrow. Yeah, we'll finish this tomorrow if this gets uploaded by then. My disclaimer again, don't judge this material, don't judge object relations theory, developmental theory, psychoanalytic perspective. Don't judge it by my anxious delivery. I haven't been analyzed. I'd love to be. Oh my God. If I had the funds, I'd be on the next flight. You know? I guess most shrinks are still in New York, I guess, I'm not sure. And do the analytic process, because I want to internalize a psychic structure of a memory of someone who supports and has empathy and recognition, and who doesn't want to use me in their drama. They've resolved, they've done the work, so they're emotionally available, and I have that memory of that. I don't, right? So you need that new psychic structure. Knowledge is sort of like a bridge to that end, right? Oh, Karen Horney says, ironically, you know, there is spontaneous little healing moments. If you have enough knowledge, maybe there can be some little shifts within, and life itself can be the therapist, she says. So it's a little mystery in that area. Right? Yeah, the mother complex. Back to Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, he said, see your parents as people, not just parents. See them as people, not just the role of them being a parent. See them as behind the role, there's a person experiencing, the experiencing self. What are they experiencing? The parents have an experiencing self. So back to the experiencing self, the last one here by Horner. The experiencing self, or the feeling self, the experiencing self is not the same as what one experiences, but the sense of self who's having the experience. The capacity to focus upon the experiencing self is vital to the process of trying to discover and connect with the self. When somebody tells me, I feel confused, I may ask him to focus on the self who is having the experience of being confused, rather than on the confusion itself. You see? Let's say the therapist says, when somebody tells me, I feel angry, okay, I may ask him to focus on the self who is having the experience of being angry, rather than on the anger itself. What about the rage one? When somebody tells me I feel enraged, okay, I may ask him to focus on the self who is having the experience of feeling enraged, rather than on the emotion itself. Focus on you who has the emotion, not just the emotion without you. First, focus on you having the emotion. Focus on the you who's experiencing the emotion. Stay there. Stay there. Then the emotion might wave through, kind of thing. People often become so focused upon the feeling or the experience that they lose touch. They lose touch with themselves. They lose touch with the experiencer. They lose touch with themselves. How are we doing here? I think I got about three minutes left here. I don't have the laptop today, so I'm not going to play a song. I'd love to play our theme song, which is Katja Epstein's German cover of the song "Windmills of the Mind." That's our theme song. I'd love to play Barbara Lewis's English cover of that, but YouTube says it's they blocked the whole video because it's copyrighted and all this. So Jose Feliciano does a version of it. There's even sort of a silly version of it by Kermit the Frog. But the best version, my favorite version, absolutely, is Katja Epstein. She does a wonderful version of Windmills of the Mind in German, and that's our theme song. Yeah. So Windmills of the Mind. Right? That song kind of describes the unconscious, down a tunnel, down a cavern, where the light has never shone. That's the unconscious. We don't know it, it's repressed. You know. The repressed self wants to come into the light of consciousness. So there's a bridge there. So we want to be aware of what inferencing and what little communications are coming across to us. We do that by observing what the puppet master is getting us to do. That's called amnesic memory, amnesic memory, amnesic memory. We want to make a conscious memory. The transition from amnesic memory to conscious memory, that's Hermes flying across. That's narrative medicine. Getting back into ourselves, we make more sense. Okay, should we just, do you want to do a little walk outside for a minute? I've only got 2 minutes left here, let's see. Wait a second. Put this in here. Okay, I think they closed this anyways, around this time anyways. So. Nobody ever closes this door, can you believe it? Look at that, eh? Whoa, yeah, it's hot out here. Where the dinner, all the dinner thing is setting up. Okay, when this video just suddenly cuts out, that'll be the end of it, and I'll see you in part 2. What do we got here? Oh yeah, it's going to cut out any second now. So I'll see you in part 2. We'll continue with the Letha Horner's quotes, and we'll finish up with what's called projective identification. Key concept, projective identification, sometimes called evocation of a proxy. You want to externalize something about you. You want to see it externalized. So you want to make it happen. You want to coax them, prod them, goad them, tease them, taunt them, make them upset. So